Alan, can you tell the good people how you first discovered these books?
I was early for a dentist appointment, and I had about 20 minutes, so I was in Barnes & Noble, and I was just wandering through the aisles, and I saw Charlaine's book, Dead Until Dark, and the tagline on the cover was, "Maybe having a vampire for a boyfriend wasn't such a good idea." And I thought, that sounds funny, so I bought it. I started reading it. I could not put it down. I got sucked into this world. At night I would think I'm going to read one chapter before I go to bed because I have to get up at 7. I would read 8 chapters. And the minute it was over, I wanted book number 2. I wanted book number 3. It was like crack. And about halfway through, I guess it was book number 3, I started thinking, I think this would make a really good television show.
Did you know what you wanted to do after 6 Feet Under? Did you have expectations of what your next show would be?
I actually didn't think I wanted to do TV. I thought I wanted to focus on movies, but the scope of Charlaine's books really lent itself to a series more than just a movie, I thought, because the world was so rich and the characters were so rich that I felt like in order to really condense it into 2 hours, it would do it a disservice. And I actually called Charlaine and spoke to her, and I said, "Do you see this as a movie or a television series?" And if I remember correctly, you said, "I've always sort of seen it as a TV series for HBO." At which point I said, "Well, I think maybe I can help you get that, make that dream a reality."
Charlaine, when did that first book come out? Was it 2001, was it? What was the first of the series come out?
I think it was either 2000 or 2001 because I'm working on number 9 now.
So in these last 8 years, had anyone else ever approached you about making a TV show or making this into a movie?
Yes.
And who were those people and what happened there?
Several people have approached me about working with the material, but I read one movie treatment, which, if it hadn't been of one of my books, I would have enjoyed. But since it was one of my books, I was just like appalled. Like Eric was a policeman in New Orleans, and it was very American Werewolf in London. I just couldn't. I couldn't get into that. So Alan's was definitely the most interesting. For artistically.
What was that conversation like when he called you? What did you guys talk about?
Well, it was a surrealistic afternoon. I'm sitting in southern Arkansas in my office and talking to Alan Ball, and I thought, this is just a very weird day. Especially since Alan said, "No, I'm going into a tunnel right now. I have to call you back." And I thought, maybe he'll never call me back. But he did, and we had a really good conversation, and I became convinced that he understood the agenda of the books as well as the fun part of the books, and that he would do justice in executing them, and I just felt very comfortable entrusting my babies to him.
Now, Alan, is this going to be by the book, so to speak, adaptation? I mean, will it follow the series?
My biggest challenge in adapting Charlaine's books were that the books are all narrated by Sookie, so it's basically Sookie's story, and we've been very faithful to that. We have, however, to fill out the world a little bit and to keep Anna from working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've opened up the world of the other characters, but I do feel a real responsibility to remain true to the books, and in places where we create things that weren't in the books, to remain very true to the spirit of the books.
Now, you said you want to avoid the vampire cliche, so what cliches will you avoid in this?
The big 3 are blue light, contact lenses, and opera music.
And so what will we see with these vampires in this show? What will we definitely...
Well, we're a television show. We're not a movie. We have to shoot an episode every 10 days. We don't have... we can't dedicate 2 days to doing CGI, so I basically just wanted to give the actors fangs and let them act the part. One of the things I love about Charlaine's books is how the supernatural is very matter of fact. It's very offhand, and so we've tried to approach the idea of the supernatural as being something, not something that exists outside of nature, but something that is a deeper, more primal manifestation of nature that perhaps we humans, with our very cerebral way of seeing things, have lost the perception to recognize as much as maybe we used to at earlier parts in our evolution. We were very specific about the fangs. They're actually, they're not fangs that just sort of morph from teeth. They're retracted. They're on the roof of the mouth, and they click down like a rattlesnake's fangs. We're trying to keep the magic as mundane as possible so that we can make it seem, number one, more matter of fact, this is just what happens, and number two, focus on what really is a big draw in the stories and in the show, which is the characters and the relationships.